Why did you decide to tell us the story of your experiences?
Because every survivor has a story to tell. Some people think, well, I've heard the story before. But from every story you learn a little bit.
I remember talking to a lot of Holocaust survivors during the production of Schindler's List.
How did you survive?
By miracle.
It was one of the first moments that made me realize that there were many, many stories that needed to be told. I wondered how many other people want to speak about their experiences, want to remember, want to return. That's how the Shoah Foundation began. It began as my wanting to continue Schindler's List.
I'm doing this because I want my children to know, and I want other people to learn what could happen.
It was a tremendous undertaking. There were thousands of people all over the world who came together to collect the 52,000 survivor testimonies.
Today I'm honored to be interviewing Miriam Hoffman in Denver, Colorado.
Interview with Elizabeth Marlin. The location is London, England.
This is an interview with Henry Briggs. It's in Sydney, Australia.
We have testimonies from 56 countries and 32 different languages.
Henryk Mandelbaum w języku polskim.
Malka Wolfart de Hausmann.
Va a conducir la entrevista en español, ¿sí?
Okay.
It became a global movement. So many people from so many countries started to come forward and say, I want to tell my story.
I remember the day when my mom had to sew the yellow star on my coat and my dress, on everything that I wore.
I think they felt the homosexuals were dangerous.
Una persona si è affiancata a me e mi ha puntato la pistola. Tu sei nedofiano, sei ebreo, seguimi. Se tenti di fuggire ti sparo. E così è stato.
I know that you will make it. That was the last word I heard of my father. I know that you will make it.
Она погибла тогда, когда мне было 11 лет. Ну, могу сказать, что она была хорошая мама. У нее просто не сложилась судьба.
On this day in April in 1945, I was going to have the shock of my life because I was going to walk through the gates of a concentration camp called Buchenwald.
We started work first in Paris and then in London on what came to be known as the Nuremberg trial.
Now I'm at an age where I don't know how much longer I'll be here. I felt it's important that it's not forgotten.
The survivors who give us their stories trusted us to hold on to those stories and teach with them far into the future. So it's our responsibility to preserve them, to make sure that they're here now and 100 years from now. We have an enormous collection of video. When we collected the original 52,000 interviews, we started a cataloging and indexing process where we went through all 105,000 hours of material and then created a thesaurus of 50,000 keywords to guide you through those stories as if they're web pages.
Everybody was crying for water. A person can endure more.
People don't have a full understanding of what the Shoah Foundation Institute is today. They understand that it was established by Steven Spielberg in 1994 to collect the testimonies of Holocaust survivors and other witnesses, but they don't realize that we have segued to the University of Southern California. Our mission now is educational.
What better place to put these testimonies than at a great research university and in the largest academic unit of that university so that scholars from all disciplines could use these materials.
It's not just Jewish studies, it's not just history.
English professors want to understand the archives because of the very personal narratives. Psychologists want to understand the archives to understand the nature of human empathy.
You see the people, you hear their voices, and you know that they lived through this.
Without him, I couldn't have made it. And I love him, and I think he loves me too.
So do I, and when they ask me how long are we married, I always say, all my life.
That's true.
You don't always hear those stories of how love can help people survive the most inhumane of conditions.
They're just regular human beings who are thrust into the worst of circumstances. Even if I really only was interested in a 5-minute video, More often than not, I would end up wanting to watch the rest of this person's interview for 3 hours. I needed to hear the rest of their story. I couldn't just watch a little bit of what they had to say.
Things that will die on the page of a history book will come to life when you see them in the context of this archive. And it's very important that we understand these testimonies as illuminating not only scholarship here in the United States, but helping the world better understand what happened.
One of the things I thought after the war was that maybe this was a lesson that the world will learn so it doesn't happen again. Doesn't seem like it was a lesson at all.
Genocides have not stopped since the Holocaust. It's really important to expand the archive with new content, like working with an organization in Rwanda, Ibuka. Ibuka is a Kinyarwandan word that means to remember. They wanted to document what happened there in 1994.
wanjye umwami wacu yitwa Nyota yari atwite inda yenda kuvuka yari ikuze cyane ubona bigaragara bateye amugornedi ni gornedi ya mbere bateye numva ntari ntarongeye kubabona shusha mpora mu mubiri niyo mpora mbona ibintu byabereye aha ngaha agashinyaguro urupfu rubi.
You can't really say it after the Holocaust never again because it happened again. And it keeps happening, and it's happening today.
All these examples of intolerance and racial hatred have to be taught so the young people, the next generation, will never allow this to ever happen again.
Ми будемо з вами говорити про Голокост як трагедію, яка
We're going to be listening to individual stories because history happens to individuals.
2 little boys came and they were looking at my father, just staring at him. The one said, well, we were told when you look a Jew in the eye, you can see the devil in there. He says, I just wanted to see if that's true. Little 8-year-old kid.
І глядачем набагато краще сприймається, коли людина розповідає те, що вона сама бачила, вона щиро це розповідає. Це іде від її серця.
Гвалт! Помогите! Эльтмир! Гвалт! Кричали женщины, лаяли собаки. Было тревожно, и все схватились, стали выглядывать в окна. Здесь уже полицай бегает по домам, по улицам, стучат.
Young people are forming who they want to be. They're developing their identity. They're figuring out what they think about things, how they should be behaving.
I always feel guilty, like if something happens to someone else and I just sit by and watch because I don't want to get involved. And I think it's important that you do get involved.
Таке може трапитися навіть сьогодні, і цю хвилину, і треба бути один до одного, мати якусь повагу хоча б.
There will be occasions when we have to make the choice. Are we bystanders or do we act?
When you see how the people were affected, you don't want that to happen to anyone else. You know, you can feel it.
I've seen young people, young students who have seen these testimonies. It does change them.
It just makes me want to be a better person, and I think it has made me a better person because it shows you just how fragile life is.
I think that these testimonies can change the world, and these survivors who are now educators, they can go out there and change the world.
Just get involved and keep your eyes open.
When you see an injustice, stand up and speak up and take a stand.
Try to understand each other. And if you cannot love each other, at least respect each other.
Do what is the decent, right thing to do and stand up and fight for it.
We have a message. We were there. We can talk about it.
This is in perpetuity. Every survivor has a story to tell.